What happens when we die? This eternal question haunts humanity's collective consciousness. Modern skeptics often claim that death leads to emptiness, just blackness, the permanent cessation of awareness. Some who've been clinically dead report seeing nothing, leading to conclusions that consciousness simply ends when the brain stops functioning. Yet for thousands of years, Vedic scriptures have described an extraordinarily detailed journey of the soul after death. Not vague metaphors or comforting myths, but specific stages, locations, and experiences that await every soul upon departing its physical vessel. The Garuda Purana, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and Bhagavad Gita map out a complex 361-day journey through multiple realms and celestial cities before judgment and eventual rebirth. These descriptions are so precise that they include the exact number of days specific experiences last and the names of 16 distinct cities the soul must pass through. Today, we'll explore what Vedic scriptures actually say about the soul's journey after death, examining how these ancient texts might explain why clinical death experiences often differ from the full afterlife journey, and why modern near-death experiences might represent just the first moments of a much longer transition. To understand the apparent contradiction between seeing nothing during clinical death and the rich afterlife journey described in Vedic texts, we must first understand a crucial distinction: the difference between clinical death and the departure of the soul. According to the Garuda Purana, what we identify as death, the cessation of heartbeat and brain activity, is merely the first stage of a complex transition. The subtle body is leaving the gross body, which is known as death. This subtle body, containing the soul, Atman, is not detectable by medical instruments. It carries consciousness, karmic impressions, and the essence of the individual beyond physical dissolution. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad describes this process. When the soul departs from the body, the life breath follows. When the life breath departs, all the organs follow. The experience of nothingness, reported by some who were clinically dead, may be explained by what Vedic texts describe as a temporary state of confusion or unconsciousness that occurs immediately after death, before the soul fully separates from the body and regains awareness in its subtle form. The Garuda Purana notes that immediately after death, the soul experiences disorientation as it adjusts to its new state of existence. After leaving the body, the preta, form which our souls gets at that point, stays near the corpse, confused and not wanting to leave. It lingers in the crematorium, watching over its former body. This helps explain why those who return from clinical death often remember nothing or very little. They've experienced only the initial confusion of the transition, not the subsequent journey described in the texts. The process of the soul's departure from the body is described with remarkable precision in Vedic texts. The Bhagavad Gita 8.5.6 states, "Those who relinquish the body while remembering me at the moment of death will come to me. Whatever one remembers upon giving up the body at the time of death, O son of Kunti, one attains that state, being always absorbed in such contemplation." According to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the departure follows a specific sequence. When the soul departs from the body, the life breath follows. When the life breath departs, all the organs follow. Then the soul becomes endowed with particularized consciousness and goes to the body, which is related to that consciousness. The texts specify that the soul may exit through different openings of the body, depending on the individual's karma and spiritual development. Higher exits, like the crown of the head, indicate evolution toward higher realms, while lower exits suggest rebirth in lower species or realms. What's particularly fascinating is the description of the soul's size after departing the body. Some texts describe it as thumb-sized, while others note it has a subtle form that resembles the previous physical body, but is composed of finer elements. The soul doesn't immediately travel to distant realms, but remains close to its former body for a specific period, watching over it and gradually recognizing its new state of existence. The first 13 days after death constitute a critical transition period described in detail in the Garuda Purana. During this period, the departed soul exists in a state called preta, neither fully attached to the earth nor yet ready for its journey to Yamaloka. After Shravana, Karma, Sapindi writes, he is captured by Yama's attendants. He is led in the way like the caught-up monkey. The Preta is given a temporary body through the Nava Shraddh rituals, which allow it to eat the offerings made by loved ones during the year-long journey to Yamaloka. This temporary body, formed from the ritual Pinda offerings, allows the soul to begin its journey beyond the earthly realm. The body attains a form like air, born out of Pinda, and assumes a shape different from the one born from the womb of the mother. On the 13th day, a significant transition occurs. The soul is formally led away by Yama's messengers to begin its journey to Yamaloka. This marks the beginning of a much longer journey through 16 celestial cities over the next 348 days. After the initial 13-day period, the soul begins an extraordinary 348-day journey through 16 celestial cities on its way to Yamaloka, the realm of Yama, the god of death and justice. The Garuda Purana provides precise details about this journey. 88,000 yojanas, about 704,000 miles long, is the distance between the mortals and Yama's worlds. 200 yojanas he covers daily. So in 348 days he reaches Yama's city, being dragged by Yama's servants. Each of the 16 cities presents unique experiences and challenges. The Garuda Purana names them Yamya, Saurapura, Nagendrabhavana, Gandharva, Shailagama, Kraunka, Krurapura, Visitrabhavana, Bhavapada, Dukkada, Nana, Krandapura, Sutaptabhavana, Raudovarshana, Shitadya, and Bahubhiti. The journey is not easy. The text describes how the soul suffers, which is heated by a burning sun, is infested by dogs and flies, which echoes with the howling sounds of jackals. He is dragged by Yama's messengers. Thus, as his body is eaten, torn asunder, pierced, he suffers immensely. At specific points in this journey, the soul receives sustenance from the Shraddha offerings made by descendants. There he eats the rice ball. Then he goes further. These periodic rice offerings provide vital energy for the soul to continue its difficult journey, highlighting the importance of ongoing ancestor rituals. Upon reaching Yamaloka after the 348-day journey, the soul faces judgment based on its accumulated karma. The Garuda Purana describes Chitragupta, Yama's scribe, who keeps perfect records of all beings' actions across their lifetimes. Contrary to popular belief, this judgment doesn't result in permanent heaven or hell, but determines a temporary residence until the soul's karma is sufficiently exhausted to warrant rebirth. The ancestors reside in Pitraloka, where they patiently wait for their rebirth. They accept offerings made during Shraddh ceremonies. For souls with exceptionally positive karma, higher heavenly realms await. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, referenced in Search Result 11, describes one such path. He goes to light, from light to day, from day to the bright half of the month, from the bright half of the month to the 6 months during which the sun rises northward, from the months to the year, from the year to the sun, from the sun to the moon, from the moon to the lightning. Souls with negative karma may experience various hells designed for specific purification. Shastra mention the creative and specific tortures described in the Garuda Purana. The tortures are creative and include impalement, dismemberment, burning, and boiling. These heavenly or hellish experiences are not eternal but last until the specific karma is exhausted. The soul then continues its evolutionary journey through rebirth. According to Shastra, this is a natural process. Reincarnation, punarjanma, is the natural process of birth, death, and rebirth. At death, we drop off the physical body and continue evolving in the inner worlds in our subtle bodies until we again enter into birth. When the time for rebirth arrives, the soul leaves its temporary residence in the ancestral realm, Pitraloka, or other higher-lower realms, and begins the process of entering a new physical body. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad describes this transition with a powerful metaphor. Just as a leech supported on a straw goes to the end of it, takes hold of another support, and contracts itself, so does the self throw this body away and make it unconscious, take hold of another support, and contract itself. The same text continues with another compelling image. Just as a goldsmith takes a small quantity of gold and fashions another, a newer and better form, so does the soul throw this body away, or make it unconscious, and make another, a new and better, form. The soul doesn't randomly enter any available body, but is drawn to circumstances that match its karmic patterns and spiritual needs. Example from the Mahabharata. Abhimanyu is the reincarnation of Varchas, the son of the moon god. When the moon god was asked to let his son incarnate himself on earth by the other devas, he made a pact that his son will only remain on earth for 16 years as he could not bear to be separated from him. Abhimanyu was 16 years old when he died in the war. Modern near-death experiences, NDEs, often report elements that correlate remarkably with Vedic descriptions of the early stages of the soul's journey after death. Common elements include the sensation of leaving the body and observing it from above, matching the Vedic description of the soul initially hovering near its former body, moving through a tunnel toward light corresponding to the soul's initial transition away from the earthly realm, meeting deceased relatives or spiritual beings, aligning with Vedic accounts of ancestral spirits and divine messengers guiding the newly deceased, life review experiences, paralleling the karmic assessment described in Vedic texts. However, near-death experiences typically represent only the very beginning of the journey described in the Vedic scriptures. The reason is simple. Those who have NDEs haven't completed even the first 13 days of the soul's journey, let alone the full 348-day passage to Yamaloka. They are experiencing what the Garuda Purana describes as the initial separation and confusion period, not the complete afterlife journey. Those who report seeing nothing may have been in the state the Garuda Purana describes as temporary unconsciousness that can occur immediately after death, before the soul fully separates from the body and regains awareness in its subtle form. The Vedic understanding of the soul's journey after death presents a profound alternative to both materialistic nothingness and simplistic conceptions of eternal heaven or hell. It reveals a universe operating with precise metaphysical laws, where consciousness continues its evolution through multiple embodiments. The richly detailed descriptions in texts like the Garuda Purana, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and Bhagavad Gita offer not just theoretical comfort, but practical guidance both for those still living and for assisting those who have departed. These teachings remind us that death is not an end but a transition, not oblivion but continuation, not random but governed by cosmic principles of karma and dharma. The soul, eternal, immortal, and indestructible, continues its journey of experience, learning, and eventual liberation. As the Bhagavad Gita 2:22 so eloquently states, "As a person sheds worn-out garments and wears new ones, likewise, at death, the soul casts off its worn-out body and enters a new one." Understanding this perspective transforms how we live our current lives, with greater purpose, ethical awareness, and spiritual focus. It also transforms how we approach death, with less fear and more preparation. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the soul's journey after death, according to Vedic wisdom. For more insights into these profound teachings, visit AustriaViennaPuja.com. May this ancient knowledge bring you clarity, peace, and deeper understanding of life's greatest mystery.